Watercourse Agency meeting for Tuesday, October 5th, 7 PM. Can we do a pledge of allegiance? Thank you. Fire evacuation procedures, you can, the door in the back and go away from the building, or the door to my left, down the stairs and away from the building. Roll call, Jenny?
Donna Corbin-Savinsky.
Here?
Virginia Higley here. Carrie Ann Howe.
Here.
Robert Hendrickson.
Here.
Marie Pisner. Absent.
Absent.
Kevin Zorda.
Here.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to move number 5, public participation, ahead of number 4.
Where's the? Yeah. I move that we move public participation of the public hearing to.
No, not the public hearing, just public participation.
I'm sorry, public participation to number 4.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
So, next on the agenda is public participation. This is for anybody who wants to speak on anything not on the agenda. Again, so if there's anybody who wants to speak on something not on the agenda? One last time, anybody wants to speak on something not on the agenda? Seeing none, we'll move on. Next is agent comments. The reason I moved it, so people know, is if somebody came up and talked and we wanted to make a comment back, that we could do that now. Okay, so agent comments, anybody? Seeing none, we'll move on. Approval of minutes for September 21st.
I move we approve those minutes.
Second.
Okay, Jenny, roll call?
Donna Corbin-Savinsky.
Yes?
Virginia Higley, yes. Carrie Ann Howe.
Abstain.
Robert Hendrickson.
Yes.
Kevin Zorda.
Yes.
4 in favor, 1 abstain, motion passes. The town attorney report, I believe we have none. Or did you get one?
We have one.
You do? You do? I don't have it in the packet.
Can we move it to the bottom? I'll pull it up on my email.
Okay.
Can we request that that gets emailed to us?
Yeah. Thank you. So next on the agenda would be public hearings. Can I have a motion to open a public hearing?
So moved?
Second.
Okay, roll call?
Donna Corbin-Savinsky.
Yes?
Virginia Higley, yes. Carrie Ann Howe.
Yes.
Robert Hendrickson.
Yes.
Kevin Zorda.
Yes.
5 in favor, motion passes. So this is going to be the public hearing for IW 629, 52 South Road, application for a wetland permit for a storage garage and GeoGrid-style gravel road addition request. Amy Molina, applicant owner, map 73, lot 94. So the legal ad was posted on the website. So do you want to read that, Jenny, please?
Sure. The Enfield Inland Wetlands and Watercourse Agency will hold public hearings at their regular meeting of Tuesday, October 5th in the Town Hall Council Chambers, 820 Enfield Street, Enfield, Connecticut, concerning the following application. IW 629, 52 South Road. Application for a wetlands permit for a storage garage and GeoGrid-style gravel road addition request. Amy Molina, applicant owner, map 73, lot 94, R44 zone.
Thank you. So the rules for the public hearing. So the applicant will give their name and addresses for the record. They'll give statements regarding the applications. Afterwards, the agents and the staff can ask questions and comments. We'll then hear statements from the public only regarding the topic of the public hearing and areas of concern for the inland wetlands and our regulations. There might be a sign-up sheet. Okay, thank you. Great. Please do not bring up any other items not related to inland wetlands, because that's the only thing we can talk about and roll on. If at any time the public hearing becomes unruly or unmanageable, I can call a recess and we would stop the meeting. After we hear from the public, we will then hear statements from the applicant to address any questions and concerns. So that's it. The next thing is the applicants, I guess, are seated. Is that the applicants?
Yep.
Yeah. So could you please give your name and address for the record?
Yep, Amy Molina, and 52 South Road in Enfield, Connecticut.
Christopher Molina, 52 South Road, Enfield, Connecticut.
Thank you.
Sure.
Is it on? Oh,
Yeah, it's good.
Okay, I'll do it again. Amy Molina.
There is a second microphone
Oh,
up
there you
there.
go.
If you want to use that one as well.
Amy Molina, 52 South Road, Enfield, Connecticut.
Great. Could you explain what you want to do?
Yeah, we're just trying to, we got a complaint, that we have too many cars on our property, and so we're looking to just have a one-story garage and just to store some of our vehicles and our boat, our jet ski, so that they're no longer visible on the main road anymore, and that way it'll up the curb appeal on the street.
Okay. Did you have anything else you wanted to say, or?
We have a 2-car garage now, but the boat's too wide to fit in the door, and the trucks are too tall. So
you
that's
some-
the reason why we can't put them in the garage we have now.
Okay. Anybody have any questions or comments for him?
Are any of the vehicles industrial or commercial? You're stating that they're too tall, so why?
Yeah, one is it's a utility box truck. So it wouldn't be, but it has like a ladder rack on the roof, and it's bolted on, so it won't fit in my garage now.
Okay, so it's not a personal residential, vehicle?
No.
It's commercial? Okay.
Yeah, commercial.
Okay.
Excuse me, Commissioner?
Yes.
You can see the vehicles and the wetlands inspection pictures that I sent.
So one of my concerns is the original request, the original proposal you gave us said nothing about cars. It was all about the boat and the jet ski.
Yep.
I see a lot of measurements have changed,
Yeah.
and that concerns me a lot.
So we updated the garage to a smaller size because we were told, it can't be larger than, the house, so that actually got smaller. The road was an additional 1.5 feet wider than we originally had planned for. I'm trying to think of what else. We did have, from the road, it was 10 feet. We were told it was 10 feet away from the road, and then we were told it should be 18, so that has been updated. We actually pulled it back, and now it's 18 feet from the road, even though one of the conditions from our last meeting, it's not going to be access to the roadway. We're actually going to put it so that it's only accessible through our driveway.
Yeah, that's the original.
Is there, so I don't see any plan or anything that shows the actual proposed garage. My concern is it's still pretty big, 50 by 30, 14 feet high. That's quite a bit of impervious space. So there's a lot of water coming off that roof. So in terms of what that drainage is going to do, where that water is going to go, is there a gutter system? Is there not? That's certainly concern. I think we need to see that. You mentioned that last time that there's no foundation to this at all.
Yeah.
Like you're just going to lay it right on top of gravel.
Yeah.
No blocks or anything.
No, it's a GeoGrid foundation. It's just gravel. You lay it right on the ground, and then the fabric. It's a weed barrier fabric on the ground first, and then it goes on top.
So, Georgina, there's supposed to be a permit for this building? Has that gone through, or?
So after they get wetland approval for location, they will be putting in their building permit. So another thing to keep in mind is that accessory structures are allowed to be 5 feet away from the rear and side property lines. The 60-yard setback only is for accessory structures that are attached to the residential houses.
So my understanding is that some of this equipment the truck that you're going to keep in there, you do some side work or something. I think.
Yeah, as a mobile repair business because of COVID, me and my brother, we started a mobile repair just to be able to go to people instead of actually, bringing work. So
mobile repair of what? What kind of work?
mostly I do mobile welding
Okay.
repair, so exhaust and stuff like that. Car
So my concern is there going to be what kind of other equipment is going to be stored in this garage? Equipment, potentially chemicals, other?
No, all the equipment is in my truck, which is why I'm trying to shelter it, like I
It
have,
will be in the garage, just going to be on the truck.
as far as tools go, yeah, tools.
Any chemicals or other, like, fuel tanks or
No.
anything like that?
No, I have a MIG welder and flux core, so there's no chemical gases or anything.
Oh, I do see a picture of the garage here.
And you're not going to be doing any actual repairs in the garage?
No, no.
I
Yes.
have a
Yeah, go ahead, Ginny. Go ahead.
I have a question about maintaining your vehicles. You're going to maintenance them in the garage, right? Oil changes, that type of stuff?
No, my brother owns a shop in Forest Park, so he usually does all my oil changes and all that stuff. Fountain Street Auto in Forest Park, Massachusetts.
Okay, so you're never going to
No,
maintenance your
no,
vehicles?
no.
How about the openings of this garage? So the picture that I have here, this one, it shows just one garage door on the end. Is this going to be the configuration of your garage?
Yeah, that's the garage that I'm planning to buy. I haven't bought it yet because we didn't even get approved from the wetlands. It's called Big Metal Buildings, and they come and they pull the permits and set it all up for you. So it's kind of like a one buy and they do it all for you. That's why we haven't put in the permit yet for it.
And so will it be just a big garage door on the end? Or are you going to put some on the side? Is there going to be?
No, I'm trying to just put one double-sized garage door on one side.
Okay. And it's going to be a steel roof?
Yes.
Yeah, I guess back to, there's not going to be any gutters or anything?
Yes, there's going to be gutters, but that all comes in planning when you call bigbuildingdirect.com. So they set you up with somebody, and then you have to tell them all that because they have a set price, and then the doors, because it doesn't come with the doors.
Right, so you gotta pay all that extra.
Yes, you have to get all that.
Yeah, so I was just wondering, like, where the gutters and the downspouts, what direction are they going?
Yeah, so that's really important to us because you're so close to the farm and the wetlands. It's a lot of water coming off of this, so we need to know where that water's going.
Yeah, I mean, when we put it in, like they're gonna give like actual structure drawings and stuff. Like they provide all that when they're actually putting it up, or when they come to pull the permit, or we have to pull the permit for it. But we'll get all that in time. But right now, we're just trying to get the road, so we're not even there yet.
But that won't help us make a decision. If
We
we
need-
don't know where the drains are pointed.
We would put it towards.
Oh, we would
our-
point it in.
Of course.
Yeah, we'd point it towards our property, and then if you needed,
It still could come back.
no, I don't-
It
yeah.
depends on how the grading is of the property.
Right,
That's what we're tasked to look at.
what is the topography? Does it slope towards the farm or does it slope away?
for now it's flat. Like
Well,
in our garage, it's
nothing
flat.
is
It
nothing
doesn't-
is truly flat. Okay,
It
there is some sort of slope.
There are calculations on how much water would come off of this in a certain rainstorm, and in terms of a gutter system, how much water is going to come out of that gutter. So being that you're so close to a farm and wetlands, that the impact that water could have could be significant, especially after this year with the amount of rain we have. So you're kind of, you're doing it in reverse. We need to know in advance what your plan is for that. You can't just put something in and say, oh, we'll figure that out afterwards, because we have to know that it's going to be safe
Okay.
in order to do an approval.
Yeah.
Understood. Yeah, no, we would put it toward our property. It's just how far we have to move it to. We just don't know.
We need to know. I don't mean
Yeah.
to sound like a broken record, but this is very important to the wetlands
Yeah.
and to the farmers, but especially the wetlands. I cannot in good conscience approve something that I don't know where the water's going and how much of the water is going where.
Typically on a building, an engineer will come in and tell us exactly how much water is coming through in a system like this, and how it's going to be mitigated through either, the geogrid or through just what we call sheet flow, or, sometimes a system has to be put in if it's enough water. So, just saying it's going to be directed in towards the property, that may not be enough.
Yeah.
Is what I think we're saying.
I mean, we're not giving you a hard time, but this isn't, you know, a little 5x6 shed that you're putting up. I mean, this is just
Yeah.
a little bit bigger, so it's a little bit more water.
Yeah.
I don't think there's going to be a problem with the road as far as any runoff because it is a weed barrier that we put down, so water goes right through it. It's been down for a while now. We've had all that rain, and there's no runoff to the left or to the right. It just goes right through it.
Another question I had is, are you going to be able to plow the driveway, the gravel?
No.
No.
Oh. So what are you going to do in the winter?
That's
You're not
it.
gonna be able to
Everything
do it?
goes in there,
The boat just keeps
stays,
staying
and that's
until-
it. Yeah.
Well, because of your other equipment.
Yeah, you can't plow it. It's gravel. You tear into
Well, that's
it.
what I was thinking.
Then what are you going to do with the commercial vehicle?
That's it. That's the end of work.
When the snow flies, that's it?
Yeah,
Business
that's it.
Business closed?
Yep.
Okay.
That's it.
Because I was worried about snow piles and what we're going to do with all that. The other thing with the driveway, or not driveway, roadway, whatever we're going to call it, was wondering the overall height of it, because you're going to have the weed barrier and the geogrid, and then you're going to put so much gravel over it, and
It's a full. I actually have it. Yes.
how's that going to, like,
Yeah, it's 4 inches. The geogrid is actually 4 inches, and then you're gonna have an inch of just like fancy gravel on top. You could say, like, to make it look nice, the pebble rock on top. So about 5 inches total.
in one of the pictures we had, it shows the roadway going back towards the trees here. How far away are the trees and
The trees are in the middle of it.
Yeah, the trees are in the middle of the yard.
yeah, see the trees, the way the trees are?
Which one?
See the way the trees are?
Oh, I think you're seeing shadows. You're
Yeah.
seeing shadows.
Shadows of the
The
trees.
trees,
Yeah.
the trees are here.
Oh,
The
okay, good.
shadows, yeah.
Okay, good, good. Ask that question. Yes, about that. Oh, is there going to be any utilities going in and out, like electricity, water?
No, I think for now I was just gonna do like just solar lights, and really, yeah, that's it. Because I have no point in being in there at night. So
Okay. Because if you put utilities in, you might underground, you have to dig for underground.
yeah.
yeah.
So the floor is going to be gravel as well?
Yeah. It's gonna be the same
same thing.
geogrid. Yep.
So there won't be any drains or anything in the garage then? It's just gonna, like if you had a cement floor, you'd have some sort of
Oh yeah,
drainage,
yeah.
So it's really, so the floor is actually open
Floor.
floor, except for the geogrid.
And I was wondering about like the salt and the dirt that gets on the vehicles and
Oil.
oil and stuff. Will go into the gravel. Into the ground, into there, yeah. Want to read version 10, we just got this tonight, so.
That's interesting. I didn't realize it was a gravel floor.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't have any more questions from them at this point.
Anybody else have any more questions? I think we're good there. Okay. So the letters that came out. Okay, so I guess we don't have any more questions at the time, so we would like to, does the staff have any questions?
I have an updated staff report from the time that we met last until now. So I'm just going to give some quick background from the beginning and just quickly go through it all, okay? So on September 7th, we received the application for discussion of the GeoGravel Road and construction of a 60 by 30 storage garage. In between this time, it was made clear to the applicant that the accessory structure cannot be bigger than the house. They changed this on site plan version 7, where new proposed site is 50 by 30. And it will be for the storing of a boat and jet ski, and new information was given to us that it will also be used for a work truck and a work van. There was also, the gravel roadway was claimed to be 9.5 feet wide. The wetland site inspection measured it at 10.5 feet wide. The applicant was advised they cannot access this from the roadway. And if the applicant did wish to connect it to the roadway, then they would have to go to PZC for an approval for another driveway, as one driveway is allowed per property. The gravel road is a GeoGrid style gravel road with a reed barrier underneath the gravel, meaning the water should be allowed to pass through. The property is surrounded by farmland, and a top portion of the property is within the 100-foot upland review area. Please see the Wetlands 100 upland review diagram. The pool and the assessor's picture does not exist in the property. Now, some information from September 21st to October 5th. At the September 21st meeting, the commission accepted a petition. It was recommended to me by Penny Urbanowitz via email to check town records for a previous survey done back on January 11, 2002 by Edward Cedar, who was an original owner of the estate. From this survey, it shows the property, 52 South Road, almost completely within the 100-foot upland review area. This survey is also an A2 survey to proof of accuracy. However, it's also important to note that on these surveys, there was no soil scientist to verify the wetlands boundary done. Therefore, the wetlands are inherently inaccurate because they were not field delineated or located and wasn't done by a soil scientist. It is also important to note that on these surveys from 2002, the data for the wetland 100-foot upland review area comes from the 1976 Town Land Survey data, which was approved by the IWWA Commission on January 22, 1976. It is safe to assume that the data used for this survey should not be applied to the property today, and that the Commission should use the town data available through the GIS software as did the survey from that day. On September 30th, the zoning officer and I went out to the site to verify measurements on site plan version 7. And again, it was found the gravel road is 9.5 feet away from the roadway instead of 18. This was addressed by the applicant and was fixed, and we received a new picture showing the roadway being 18 feet away from the right-of-way. It was also found that the width of the driveway is 10.5 feet instead of 9.5 as shown on site plan version 7. Site plan version 8 was submitted on September 30th and now shows the driveway from the side property line at 2.5 feet. On the applicant's narrative, version 7, new information was mentioned about the work truck and the work van. There should be a discussion about the fuel storage, as mentioned from September 7th. When asking the applicant the reasons behind the work truck and work van, they responded by saying these vehicles are used rarely, once a month, for side work. Side work included small jobs being done for family or friends, such as painting or small construction tasks. It is recommended that the application be tabled to gather additional information, such as a site plan. And also on the site plan narrative, it was mentioned that there was a 65-yard setback requirement. The 65-yard setback requirement is not mentioned in our regulations at all. Instead, it is a 60-foot setback requirement from the rear property line for an R44 zone. And again, this only applies to accessory structures that are attached to dwelling units. The accessory structures that are not attached are allowed to be 5 feet from all property lines except for the front. The only comment I got so far was from the building department, and they said no concerns as they apply to wetlands approval. Location appears to be approvable as an accessory structure. Assuming they will be trenching for utilities to the building, if that's a wetland concern, more information will be required for building permit approval. I got no other comments from staff. And that's all I have. Thank you.
So first, we have Attorney David Barham from Bloomfield, Connecticut. Could you please state your name and address for the record? Welcome.
Good evening. I'm Attorney David Barham, B-A-R-A-M, from Bloomfield, Connecticut, and I am representing Vincent and Penny Urbanowitz. Sure. You want me to start over?
No, I think
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
Sorry.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak as to this application. My clients are not here to necessarily obstruct or block any application by the Lee and Molina family, but they are here to make sure that the wetlands are protected, and their farm is at 60 South Road, which abuts this property, and so they're very concerned about water, drainage, pollutants, and so forth. And as your staff person indicated, the SEDUR map, which is probably the most extensive, even though it did not involve necessarily a soil scientist, used existing data, and it pretty much shows that at least 50% of the applicant's property is in a wetlands area. But given the fact that nobody seems to know for sure, points to our main issue, which is if you look at your regulations and you look at the various sections 7 and 8, it calls for certain information to be given to you, and I noted that some of the commissioners in your questions of the applicant basically said the same thing, that you don't have any wetlands determination, you don't have any drainage calculations. There's a lot of information that's missing. So I wholeheartedly agree that tabling this and requiring the applicant to provide this information is important. This garage, as it's called, is a pretty large structure, and it definitely will have an impact just by itself in terms of water and drainage, and now that I fully appreciate what's going to be kept in the garage, it raises a host of other questions in terms of fuel, if any repairs are going to be done, cleaning of these commercial vehicles, and so forth. So I think that's something that the Commission has to take seriously. I sent in this afternoon a couple of pictures, and I don't know if staff saw them or got them to you. I did make copies if you don't have them. I don't know. I'll just show you the front page. This is, oh, okay, let's see one. Sure. These pictures are actual pictures of the site that my client took standing on their property, and you'll see the magnitude of this geogrid and how it crosses the property. This is not a simple roadway. It's pretty wide. I understand that the staff members measured different widths of it. But I can, you can see from this picture, this is their property and what they intended to do. You can even see in the foreground some pictures of their vehicles, which until tonight I was uncertain if those were their vehicles or not, but apparently it is. The second picture is a close-up of the grid and what it looks like. And again, the way it seems to be designed, there's water that's going to be flowing through this thing, and it may even, if it's filled with gravel, help facilitate the travel of water toward my client's land because it's such a huge structure. You'll see on the third picture the kind of demolition of and removal of earth and the fill that's being put in here. Again, there's disturbance occurring, and this apparently has occurred before you have even approved anything, which is not the best foot forward. You'll see this on the next one, the size of the property area. And then we attached two aerials from CROG, and again, their lot 52 is to the right. It shows that there's a grouping of trees toward the rear, and you'll see how close it is to my client's property. My client's property, virtually surrounds it to the north and the west, South Street's to the south. We believe that almost 50% of the applicant's lot is within the wetlands purview. And the last picture is just a closer up of the treed area and how the land, if you eliminated the boundary line, it looks like it's one parcel. It's the same land, which we feel does have native soils that may very well be wetlands in nature. So we're concerned, obviously, about that, and I have the letter that I sent back in September when we were asking the commission to take cognizance of this matter and take jurisdiction of it. And I have copies if you don't have them. Some of the letter pertains to why you should have this public hearing, and I'm not going to address that. But I do want to address, if you have it on page 2, the Siddur subdivision map, which again, that map, whether it's 100% accurate or not, at least suggests that a good portion of the lot is in wetlands, and that should raise a red flag to just encourage you to require the applicants to have a soil scientist provide mapping for you of what the wetland boundaries are and the kind of wetlands that exist there. In terms of upland review and significant impact in the paragraph 3 that I had, again, I just want to point out that while regulated area by your definitions is within 100 feet of wetlands or watercourse, your regulations do provide, it uses the word may, that you may consider impacts outside that area that impact the area. So even if technically a portion of the property you found was not technically in wetlands, you could still find, based on the evidence that they would be presenting to you, that it still would have an impact. Roadways for farming, and again, until tonight, I really wasn't 100% sure why they were building this roadway, and I'm going to get to that in a second, but I did point out that was not permitted for farming for parcels under 3 acres, so that didn't qualify here based upon my information. And the most important thing, I think, is on the last page, which was subparagraph 2, where I talk about the regulations, particularly sections 7 and 8, where you require a host of items. And in a moment, you're going to hear from Suzanne Choate from Design Professionals, who's an engineer, who actually took a look at the site, and she will go into a little more detail about the regulatory requirements that are necessitated here. I want to just point out a couple of other things. well, I'm not intimately familiar with your zoning regs, and my interpretation might be incorrect, but based upon other towns that I do work in, the commercial vehicles can only be an accessory use. And I question whether or not the applicant should have gone to zoning before coming to wetlands, because they indicated in their presentation, and it was recited by your staff, of all the vehicles, a commercial ladder truck, a van, a boat, ski jets, all of these things. And this garage is an attempt, I guess, to provide some cover for the vehicles, but that doesn't necessarily make them accessory. At what point are you running a business where you have all your vehicles? It's become a parking lot. And in fact, this roadway, the applicants opened up by indicating in their presentation that there were complaints against them because they had too many vehicles in their yard. Again, I was unaware of that until tonight, but at what point does the storage of 5 or more vehicles become the business itself? It becomes a parking lot, and I think it's very hard to argue that that's an accessory use. The size of the garage is of concern. I know there are different measurements, but looking at the regulations really quickly, it looked like it can't exceed 15% of the rear lot, and it looked almost like this was over
I'm sorry, but
15.
that's a zoning issue.
Right.
That's not
It's a
something that
zone-
we would
Right.
we would
I'm
deal
just
with.
making
We
a
only
point
we only
that-
deal with the wetlands
Right.
here.
I'm just pointing out that maybe they should have gone to zoning first to see if this was even an acceptable use. The other point is the access that you raised with the applicant. It's a little difficult to understand. You're putting in an interior roadway that has no access to the main road, except if they go, I guess, into their driveway. So it's really almost a misrepresentation, because they have to access the site with these trucks. The applicant testified that he needs these trucks for his work. So essentially, you're building a roadway that essentially is going to dump into the driveway, or they're just going to go over the curb on the road, and they're just going to enter the road any way they want. Again, the importance of why this needs to go to zoning first. Just a couple of other quick things that I want to say. Again, you discussed the side yards, and I think this commission raised it with them. So I'm just going to say, based upon the diagrams that they gave, I give the applicant credit because it's a nice diagram and it's in color and it looks pretty, but we don't really know. There's no measurements of the roadway. It says in the new diagram that it looks like 10 feet, but yet it gets very close to the property line where the end of the blue portion comes in, and then it goes to the yellow portion that they say is 9.5 feet wide. But we don't really know, because again, it gets to the point we don't have accurate information or mapping or surveying that really gives us the proper information. So I guess I would just conclude by saying we just don't have enough information. I think it's incumbent, and I completely support the idea of tabling this, but not tabling it just for the purpose of giving more time to consider it, but to say to the applicant, look at sections 7 and 8. We want a wetland survey. We want to know more information how this roadway works. What kind of impact will all these vehicles have on the wetlands? And I guess another threshold issue, which I would just encourage you to think about, is whether or not you should even be entertaining the application before it goes to zoning. given all the many zoning issues that you raised in your questioning and that I'm also raising or reaffirming in terms of your initial concerns. So that's why we're here, and whatever obviously is permitted, we can accept that. Our goal is to make sure that the wetlands are not disturbed, and especially as they impact my client's property. That's our main concern. And I'd be happy if you have any questions to take it.
Does anybody have any questions for him at this time? No.
Our engineer, I'm not sure where she is on the sign-up list.
Yeah, next I have is
Suzanne.
Andrew Urbanitz? Or
I don't know
Urbanowitz?
if you would be willing to take Suzanne out of order, just so.
Yeah, she's not on the sheet, but we could talk to Andrew first, maybe? It's fine with you? Okay.
Okay. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
One quick question, I'm sorry. When was this picture taken?
Which one, this front one?
Probably September, early September.
Early
We
September.
gave to it. You would have the date, David, in here.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Go ahead. Could you state your name and address for the record, please?
Hi, Suzanne Choate with Design Professionals. I'm a registered professional engineer in Connecticut. I also sit on my local Wetlands Commission. So I will keep this brief and try not to reiterate what was already said. I did take a look at the application materials that were available online and basically was looking for more information in order to advise our client whether or not there was an impact. So as you mentioned, drainage, erosion control, grading, a little bit of a concern comes to mind now that I hear the purpose of the driveway is truck movements, turning movements, getting in and out of there. I know that's not a wetlands issue, that's just an aside for the applicant. The letter that I wrote does highlight the areas that I feel need to be addressed.
Excuse me, is that this letter?
It is, yes.
Okay.
I guess that's about, the one more thing I wanted to mention was gravel. So as an engineer, when we address gravel in drainage calculations, I consider them impervious because over time, unless it's permeable pavers with a drain underneath, over time it gets compacted and it becomes impermeable anyway. It may not be when you first put it in, but it tends to become that way. So, an aside. Thank you very much for your time.
Did you want to state what was on your letter, or
Do I need to, should I read it?
if you want for the record?
Or is it in the record?
You could read it. It's not in the record yet. That's why.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why.
On behalf of our clients, Penny and Vincent Urbanowitz, the owners of an agricultural parcel at 60 South Road, which abuts the above referenced application, this application before you, we have reviewed the online application materials. The purpose of this was to determine the impact it would have on the property. I'm paraphrasing here.
Yeah.
And to determine if the mapping and documents were sufficient to make that determination of impact. At this time, I am unable to make such a determination due to the lack of information provided in the application. I understand that according to Section 7.3, the application shall contain such information as is necessary for a fair and informed determination thereon by the agency. At this time, a number of items seem to be lacking that are mentioned in your regulations, specifically proposed erosion and sedimentation control alternative, which would cause less or no environmental impact, low impact management practices for soil erosion and sedimentation control, low impact development management practices for stormwater management, a site plan with a scale of 1 inch equals 40 feet, delineated flagged wetlands and upland review areas, measures proposed to mitigate the potential environmental impacts, a cover sheet including the seal of the appropriate design professional, and a wetland summary table. And I already said that. Please note that the proposed, yeah, we already mentioned that. We suggest that the applicant be required to provide the application documents stated. And I will leave it at that. And we're happy to, I'm also happy to take any questions from you or the town staff. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah. Andrew?
Okay. Hi, Andrew Urbanowitz, 25 South Road, Enfield, Connecticut. Madam Chairwoman and Commissioners, thank you for allowing me this opportunity to address you, and I too will keep it brief. I'm aware of your time as volunteers. Just a very brief history. My family have farmed on South Road since the mid-1920s, and the property in question we farmed since the 1930s. I'm the fourth generation to have the opportunity to operate this farm, presently known as 60 South Road. I've spent my entire life growing crops on this property. My family has loved and cared for this property. In return, it has rewarded us with many bountiful harvests. I come before you today with the concern of protecting our future harvests. The portion of the farm which abuts the proposed activity before this commission is utilized to grow various rotations of sweet corn, vegetables, cut flowers, and other fresh market food crops, which we sell at retail to the community via our road stand. The natural slope of 52 South Road's parcel is towards our farm parcel in all areas relevant to this project. Presently, the site is lawn over native soil, excepting portions where some work by the applicant had begun prior to the application. I spent many of my formative years with my great uncle Edward Sedor and grandfather Stanley Sedor on this site working. The land is native ground with lawn. Conversion of lawn to another use requires some proper planning to avoid rainwater being discharged onto our farm parcel. The owners do not have a right to drain on our parcel, and therefore they need to control the water from this project on site. In recent years, we've been experiencing heavy rainfalls and more frequent rainfalls, many of which have caused massive damage to crops, my own crops included. And we need to take into account how this development would react and interact with such heavy rainfall. Lastly, I just would say that my family is willing to work with these applicants to reach something that's mutually agreeable so that they can build what they want to build, but build it without creating an impact on our wetlands and property. And so that's where I'll leave it with you tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anybody else in the audience that would like to speak? I guess not. Okay. So I do have a couple of letters here that came. I'll read them for the record. This is from Gary Raffia, 113 Raffia Road, Enfield, Connecticut, dated October 4th, regarding this application, 629 52 South Road. I am writing in to provide my comments on the above public hearing. I share the concerns of the neighboring farm regarding the runoff and the roof drainage into the wetlands and on the 60 South Road property. As a lifelong farmer in town, I understand that once damage is done to essential croplands, it is very difficult to correct. I feel that the commission should require the applicant to control the runoff waters on site. Loads of packed materials in a large roof area are a significant change in the property use. Please require the applicant to complete some engineering work to determine the impact of this development and to establish proper on-site controls to address these issues. I believe a happy medium can be found here that would prevent damage to the wetlands on the farm, but still allow the applicant the chance to build their project. It is hard to find a point of agreement without more information that an engineer for the application could provide. Thank you for your time, Gary Raffia. And then we have another one from the Connecticut Farm Bureau, 78 Beaver Road, Weathersfield, Connecticut, dated October 4th. This letter is with respect to the above-mentioned application and the impact it may have on the abutting farmland located at 60 South Road. This 8-acre farm property is comprised of 90% prime and important farmland soils, currently producing vegetables, cut flowers, and tobacco. The land has been owned and farmed by the Sedor family since the 1930s. Any approval for roads, drainage, and infrastructure related to the above-mentioned application must be considered with the impact it will have on the abutting property owned by and farmed by the Urbanowitz and Sedor family. I routinely receive phone calls from farmers whose land has been negatively impacted by poorly designed or failed roads and drainage systems from neighboring properties. Unfortunately, the open farmland is often used as a dumping ground for excess water and runoff. Once a project is approved and completed, the farmer has little recourse but to absorb the cost and loss of diminished soil productivity and the damage to cropland from failed or properly designed systems. Connecticut prime and important farmland soils are a finite, non-renewable resource that must be protected and nurtured to maintain productivity and soil health for current and future generations of farmers. Decisions made by land use agents and commissions now impacts farmland in perpetuity and often cannot be reversed. CFBA urges due diligence and thorough review for the impact of this project has on neighboring farmland. Respectfully submitted, can't read his name, Joan Mitchells, Executive Director. Okay. So those are the letters we received. Would the applicant like to come and speak again?
I have some additional questions.
Yeah. You can address any concerns that you heard, or?
No, just when we looked at the map, we're not on wetlands area, we're within 100 feet, so that's why we started doing the gravel road not within 100 feet, and then we stopped when we, heard about it and did everything that we were supposed to do. The picture is just showing we needed no digging. We just used it to start filling it up with the gravel where we can on our property.
And I heard a couple things saying about the business and they make it seem like this is my full business. It's not my full business. I am an engineer. I work at Pratt & Whitney. I'm an aerospace engineer. I make graphics. I work from home, 100% remote, and this is just side. That's why I can afford to put it away for the winter and call it a day. But I just heard too much making it seem like I'm trying to make it a full-time business. I have a full-time job.
That's
I
not
don't need
something
that.
we can consider. I mean, it doesn't factor into our decision, so
Yeah.
you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, but
And we would make sure too, when the building's there, that we, the gutters, we do take in consideration. We don't want runoff water at all on our neighbor. So we would definitely make sure that that's being taken care of.
So I have a couple questions. So this picture shows a pretty significant pile of soil. So
That's the gravel that was dropped off to fill our road in.
yeah, it wasn't
from our yard that we
damaged
dug
from
it
our
up.
yard. It was dropped off from a gravel place.
It's the filler for the road.
Yes.
that's gravel. It looks like soil.
No,
It does look like it, but it's
called
actually
it's called
plastic,
recycled gravel.
yeah.
It's called recycled.
We didn't do any digging in our yard.
Recycled gravel.
Yeah,
It's not millings, is it?
What is that?
It's not millings, is it?
No. It's just recycled. They don't wash it or anything. It's just the gravel place. I got it from the gravel place in Enfield. What's it?
Is it processed gravel?
Yes.
Plaza excavators. I think.
Plaza excavation.
They
So
said
it's
that's what
processed
they
gravel.
use, to fill the road first, and then you put the penny gravel on top of it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I know.
Yeah, it looks like dirt, though.
It's
It does look like
processed gravel. It has sand and different size stone in it. And
Okay. So
It's
water could-
deceptive because it's a black and white picture.
Yeah.
If you actually saw it in color, it would show
would
better.
make more sense, yeah.
it's not gravel. It's more like it's a road base, but it's okay. The other thing is, so as I'm looking at this, you're going to have the garage door on the end, correct?
Yeah.
How you going to get the boat in there?
Well, I think
The boat. I pushed the boat by hand. It's only 19 foot, and
Okay.
it's not hard.
Okay,
Dude.
and the other thing is you have a hard 90-degree angle, and so where it comes off of your driveway, then down the property line. Do you know what radius you need to pull a boat around a corner like that?
Well, I would have to figure that out after, because first, we haven't made the changes to affect for that. Like, that curve after the property, after our fence line, that was after, because they said that I had to move it over 10 more feet.
Instead of the 2.5, that's why we did the big turn.
Yeah, so I have a question. So the blue part is the new part.
Yep, that's the part that's in question because it's within 100 feet of wetlands.
This other part
the
is
other
our-
area is
yeah.
not because it's not within 100 feet of wetlands.
Well, has that other part always been there?
No, we just
So, like,
started
the
the
beginning
straight
part?
line. We did not
No,
connect it
just
to the
put that.
driveway yet.
Okay.
We
So-
kinda
so
just
this
held
whole
off
thing is
until
new?
approval. No, just to the driveway, to the road will be new. We
And-
haven't done yet.
And yeah, there's nothing to the driveway to the road yet.
To-
You're
yeah.
connecting to the road?
No, to our
to
driveway.
the-
Our
Okay.
driveway to the
Sorry.
road that we're putting
To this
in.
blue part.
The blue part is proposed because it's within 100 feet of wetlands.
Yes.
That's, yeah.
Yeah, but so the whole thing from your driveway going this way then up is
Yes.
all new?
Yeah, yeah, the whole
Yeah,
thing's.
the whole thing's new.
Yeah, the whole
Yeah.
Okay.
But when the first, I forgot his name, from her office, when he came out, the first.
Rick?
Rick. When Rick came out the first time, that's when he told me about the 18 feet, so then we cut it back. And then he's the one, he told me, he was like, you're good where you are right now, you just stop right now because you don't need a permit for what you have right now, but now you're getting into the wetlands, so he said, stop right there. And that's where we stopped. And that's, I've heard, oh, we shouldn't have done anything. We didn't
Yeah.
need anything before. You know, so I stopped right where Rick told me to stop.
Yeah.
Anything that's down right now, that's like an accordion. You just pull up the stake and push it back together. It's
Yeah.
literally just sitting there.
Yep.
So another concern I have is that the floor of this structure is basically open to the soil. I mean, yes, you have this geogrid stone, so if you're storing vehicles in there, anything that comes out of those vehicles, oil, and these vehicles don't look brand new. And even if they were brand new, oil and substances like that can get out. And that being, especially on this geogrid material, I don't know what the impact would be, first of all, on that geogrid material, how it could break down, and it's potential that any of those products could leach off into the soil near the farmland. So that's definitely a concern. And then when you add in the fact that you're going to have the runoff from the roof, which is also going to impact that, that's a pretty significant concern at this point. I think you do have to, might be something where you almost need to, we need to, I think, see elevation drawings on what's going to happen, what the elevation of the structure is going to be compared to the property around it, so we can see which way the water is going to drain. We need to have a plan of this building where the downspouts are going to be and how you're going to control that water. And that might need an engineer. You might need engineering to do that.
Stormwater
Yeah,
reporting.
yeah, we definitely need to see some of that information so we can make a informed decision on the impacts that this could have, especially being that it's farmland right next door.
Excuse me, Commissioners.
Yes.
So in the letter from Mr. Barham, he did mention that a sidewalk could be done, and I did verify this with my supervisor. And a sidewalk could be set up with the applicants that would help answer a lot of questions of concern. Another thing is that staff can also help the applicants to work on a drawing that is to scale. And we can, I would suggest a continuance instead of closing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And it does sound like they don't want you not to have this. They just want to make sure that their land is protected. And I'll tell you that we get these things all the time where they're like, no, we don't want it. You know what I mean? So they're willing, it's not that they don't want you to have this, but they're,
We have to protect the farm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
I think when staff was discussing the drawings to scale, I don't think that that's something that, not to scale, they can do that, but I think an engineer's comments are needed on all the stormwater drainage and the other factors.
I agree.
So we got the applicants back here.
Do we need to make a motion?
Is there anybody else in the audience that wants to speak again before we? No, okay.
I will make a motion. Get back to the page. I will make a motion that we table IW 629 until further information is obtained, so that we can make a informed decision properly.
I'll second.
So do you understand what we need, or? Can I have a roll call, please?
Donna Corbin-Savitsky,
Yes.
Virginia Higley, yes. Carrie Ann Howe,
Yes.
Robert Hendrickson,
Yes.
Kevin Zorda.
Yes.
5 in favor, motion passes to table this for now. Would we, if you could be ready, and then we have another meeting coming up in 2 weeks, is it 2 weeks?
October
Might not be
19th.
ready, but she could let us know,
October 19th.
October 19th. Yeah, so if you have your information ready and to the staff.
And staff will work with you.
So,
And how about scheduling a site walk?
yes, so if you would like, okay, let me restart. We can schedule a public site walk. Like, for example, we can set a date and a time that would work with the applicants that would allow a site inspection open to the public. For example, October, whatever, 4 o'clock to 7 o'clock. And this would answer a lot of questions that they have in regards to the driveway and the storage garage. Because the 2002 survey is it's an A2 certification, they can use that to scale to help them draw their site plan for better accuracy, and staff can help them with this process as well. That's just my suggestion.
Okay. So we will table this until you'll do the site walk, and then when everybody's ready, we'll.
So if we approve the public site walk, I'll set up a date with the applicants, and it would basically be like a public hearing type of thing, but for a site inspection. And then I will talk with my supervisor about how to set this up.
Okay. Is that okay? Is that doable? Okay. Sir?
Yes. Could we just make sure that
Can you please come to the
Yeah,
microphone?
come to the.
That microphone right there is non-wired.
Attorney David Barham, if we could just make sure that we also receive notice so our engineer could
Yep.
participate.
It will be like a public hearing, so there will be required notices.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. So we'll continue this onward. Let's see. Is that good? So next on the agenda is old business, POCD chapters 1 through 6. That was tabled on. Are we still going to keep it that way?
I will move to
Commissioners,
table it.
wait, Commissioners, if I may, we should try and actually discuss this because we keep tabling it, and the POCD meetings are happening as we keep tabling them, and this is something that as a commission we should be doing. So we should talk about it a little bit just because we have tabled it twice already, and we should refrain from tabling it again as much as possible, just because of the deadline of when the POCD is supposed to be submitted.
When is the deadline for the POCD? Because honestly, I
think-
have not read this, so.
And we haven't discussed it yet as a group in
Yep.
POCD.
Yep. I believe it is sometime next year. We got some time still, and
There's
what-
no immediate rush on this. Okay.
Well, I'm not really sure what the timeline per se exactly is, but what's recommended is that you guys discuss it a little bit. Draft chapters 1 through 6 are on the website, and this is something that we should have been talking about a while ago. And basically, all you'd have to do is just read over the draft chapters for the wetlands and come up with ideas of things that you would want to see in the POCD for wetlands. It could be goals, duties. That could be goals that we haven't met yet from the old POCD. They could be suggestions. You can type them up in an email to me, or you can bring them to the next meeting to be discussed.
So I will say one thing about it. Like one of the big things in there that has come up and impacted, based on what we discussed at this meeting already, is the wetland maps.
Yeah, we've talked about that.
How they are,
They're old.
And not necessarily accurate. So one of the things in the draft is to update those. So I think coming up, talking about that is probably one of the biggest parts of, I think, from what I've seen in the changes in the POCD. It's one of the most impactful things, is how can we most effectively and efficiently make that happen? And do we rely on just as applications come in to change it, or do we do some remote sensing and some of that stuff? I know when you came in, we talked about that because we talked about you mentioned the drone today. Can we get a drone to do help us with that or whatever? But it's yeah, that's it's not as easy as it sounds. So I think that's the biggest thing, and that's something that impacts us the most is how accurate those wetland maps are, and how do we get that more accurate cost efficiently, because obviously the town doesn't have enough money to hire a soil scientist to go and yeah, exactly. So I think that's something to look at and brainstorm about, and how to make that happen.
We have talked about this quite a few different times over the years, and we never get past it.
Different staff.
Yeah, different staff, different people come in, and we keep saying.
getting flip
Well,
over.
if staff would stay on long enough.
Yeah.
I'm still here. I still come.
Yeah, so, I mean, that is one big thing we keep bringing up.
Yeah.
But it doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah, well, it's hard,
There's no money and-
but it's a 10-year plan.
Yeah.
So it's not something that's going to happen overnight, and it's not intended for the plan to happen.
That's
but-
why I'm saying that you do have some time still. We just need to start being more prepared for our next meetings and starting to finally discuss it.
If you look at that draft, the parts that are changed are highlighted. It's not a lot.
There was
for
nothing,
us.
there was nothing, yeah.
It's literally that
So-
and a couple of other things.
So that's something you can mention
Yeah.
as well that you'd like to see.
We'll go through it next meeting.
A good example would be the Agriculture Commission. What they did was they agreed with what Kevin said, that a lot of information is the same, and that is just words. So what they did at one of their meetings was they had every commissioner bring 3 to 4 ideas of what they want to see in their POCD, and then they had a discussion about all those ideas to make a final set list that they'd want to see. So that's where they are, and that's something you guys can maybe try to copy if you'd like. There's different ways you can go about it. That's just one of the ideas.
Yeah, that's our homework,
Everybody bring everything next meeting.
yeah. Next is new business, which we have none. Enforcement reports, I don't believe you have any. Number 12, report of planning staff, SPR 1872-109 Elm Street. Excuse me, wetland staff report.
So we just received this application last week for 109 Elm Street. It is for the old AAA building on Elm. They are going to be demolishing it and putting up a brand new car wash facility. So when you look at our GIS, it shows wetlands. And one of the things that happened was the wetlands were not considered back when they were originally constructed. So now this entire area, this whole area, is just all asphalt. Therefore, we determined that they would not need wetlands approval because there's no more wetlands there. And I just wanted to bring that up to you guys in case you did see that application and you were concerned about the wetlands. But when you look at the aerial view, it's just all asphalt and concrete. There's no more grass, soil on site.
Yep. Understood. We laughed when they came to us with the mobile Dunkin' Donuts
Yeah.
and had to get a permit because there's nothing there.
Well, it gives us a chance to move.
No,
You
yeah.
know,
No, it's important that it comes to us, so.
Yeah.
It
So we
does-
know
so
about
we
it.
know and it didn't get
They
overlooked.
acknowledge, okay, yes, it shows that there's wetlands, so.
So wait, do you want them to come before you?
No.
Oh, okay. I probably stared at that map
No, we
for
just-
like way
like, this
longer
is
than I
fine.
should have,
We all
like thinking if
unused
they
it.
should
No.
come or not.
No, this is fine, just show, so we're aware of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would you like a copy of the site plan or something? Nope, nothing? Okay.
Unneeded, yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure planning and zoning and them will make sure their pieces are all done. New applications to be received. IW 631, 8 Pinecrest Road, application for a wetland permit to construct an above-ground pool within the 100-yard upland review area and stump grindings, Scott Shrub, owner applicant, map 97, lot 91, R33. IW 632, 3032 Bacon Road, application for a wetland permit to construct 3 buildings, a 2,400 square foot office and 4,800 square foot warehouses and associated parking, accessible drives, utilities, and other amenities. Mark O'Neill, applicant representative. Joseph LaCory, applicant owner. Map 95, lots 31 and 32. XIW 634, 117 Post Office Road, application for wetland permit to construct a modular classroom in place of an existing basketball court at the Stowe Learning Center. Donald Newlands applicant, Town of Enfield owner, map 54, lot 6, R33.
I also want to mention that we received another application today. It is IW number 635, 117 North Street for Joseph LaCory. And their application is to basically restore wetlands. And we just received site plans today.
Say that again, what's it for?
To restore wetlands?
Yeah, that's the application name that we have for the project. I didn't have a chance to update the file yet because we just got it at 4 o'clock today.
Is this the parcel that's been under litigation?
I think so, yes. This is from the LaCory
Yep.
and the one that went through the lawsuit. And I also have it on the town attorney report too when we get to that.
So are we receiving that today?
Yes, and they will be heard at the next meeting as well as all these 3 other applications.
So it's going to be a long meeting.
Yes. It's kind of funny because a week ago I didn't have
resign.
any applications except for 1, and then now I have 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, okay, that's it. Yep.
I move that we adjourn.
Wait. Town attorney report.
Oh,
That's why I
oh,
didn't
okay.
move.
Sorry.
On September 27th, I received a town attorney report for Enfield IWWA versus Joseph LaCory, 117 North Street. So that was on the attorney report, and they're being received tonight and will be heard at the next meeting.
Okay, and you'll email that to us?
Yes, and you'll get your packets and all the site plan information, narrative, stormwater, whatever will be in there.
Okay.
So we should keep all the information.
Oh, yes,
on
and
the South
please keep
Oh,
all
yes.
the information, especially for 52 South Road. I'm trying to think for a second. So all those surveys, maps, and if there's anything you're missing, please let me know, and I will immediately send it to you.
Could I request that we maybe try to get these a little early because there's a lot on this?
When would
and
you like it 2 weeks before the next meeting, or I'm not really sure.
Today.
Hang on. I don't really know the date. It's been very busy in the office. Hang on, let
More
me pull
than
up
the
the
Friday
calendar.
before, or because it
What
doesn't
day?
come
Yeah, because it comes late
How
at
about
night.
this weekend,
Do you want to? I can try.
Like Thursday maybe, or?
Friday?
Even if it was Monday, I think it would be better. But Friday than before.
Friday is horrible for me because I'm gone. I leave
but you get
Thursday
the app-
morning and I don't get home till Sunday night.
Well,
And then I go
it's
to
the
work.
fact
The
that
application?
Do you want to try maybe Thursday, October 14th, or Wednesday, October 13th?
whatever
That would be
works,
good.
just a little earlier, just because there's so many, and I think definitely some of these need careful consideration.
Yes, okay, so then how about, I'll try and get packets out on Wednesday, October 13th. It just depends on a few staff interprocesses, how it works with the police department dropping off the packets and
If
stuff.
staff can't bring them out, if you let us know, I can come pick mine up,
I can pick mine up.
okay?
Can-
I don't want it to be overburdened by the people that
Okay,
are.
let me talk to the staff in the office, and I'll email you guys what can be done, but I wouldn't
Awesome,
worry about
thank
it. Okay?
Yeah, I can pick mine up.
Now I'll move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Meeting's adjourned.
Thank you, guys.
No rating on my phone.